The St. Tammany Parish Board of Adjustment meeting is now called to order. Ms. Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Here we go. Thank you. Mr. Ballantyne. Here. Mr. Brookter.
Here.
Mr. Guidry.
Here.
Ms. Christie. Mr. Snyder.
Here.
Mr. Fandel.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Did everyone get a copy of the minutes from the June 2nd meeting?
Yes, sir. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve. All in favor? Raise your hand. Aye. Okay, we have a request to move case number BOA, case number 20201908 BOA up to the front. That's the wrong case, I'm sorry. BOA case number 20201911 BOA. Here we have a request to move that to the first on the agenda. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to move it up. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would everyone please vote by raising your hands?
All in favor?
Aye. All right, so we're moving, going with case number BOA, case number 20201911 BOA. Request by applicant in an A1 suburban district and RO rural overlay for a waiver of a portion of the required rear yard 50-foot no-cut buffer to allow for the digging of a pond. The property is located at 16030 Bureau Road, Folsom, Louisiana. The applicant and representative is Nary and Beth Cannon. The applicant is requesting to waive a portion of the required rear yard 50-foot no-cut buffer to allow for the digging of a pond. Do we need to read the staff comments?
No.
Okay, is the applicant present? I heard the applicant wants to postpone this. Would you please come forward and state your name and the record? Just a second, let me get that mic on for you,
It should be on.
this podium. Yeah, we have to-
No, okay.
I need to postpone because I need to provide some more drawings of where the pond is going to go on the property.
Okay,
I'd like to speak.
go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to approve the request for this variance to dig a pond, subject to this gentleman providing the documents. What?
Put your mic on.
We can't control the buttons to hit the mic.
Copy of the boring test,
Put his mic on.
the drawing
I got it.
showing the size
Oh, well.
and location of the pond. We can do the approval today,
I don't have nothing.
and then you provide the documents and you're ready to go. You don't have to come before the board again. Okay?
Mr. Ballantyne, we found out after I spoke to Mr. Cannon that a portion of the pond is going to be, or proposed to be located within a drainage, it's a portion of a drainage feature. And we really need some input from engineering before we move forward with this and have some exact dimensions.
I withdraw my motion, never mind.
Okay, so you requesting, Mr. Cannon, to postpone, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion to postpone this motion?
I make a motion to postpone this to our next meeting.
We have a motion to postpone, and it's a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon.
Thank you.
Moving to our next case is BOA case number 20201891 BOA. Request by applicant in a PUD, Plan Unit Development Overlay, to reduce the required rear yard setback from 25 feet to 20 feet to allow for the construction of a patio addition. The property is located at 801 Greenleaf Circle, Madisonville, Louisiana. The applicant and representative is Jonathan Loriot. The applicant is requesting to reduce the required rear yard setback from 25 feet to 20 feet to allow for the construction of a patio addition. Staff comments, please.
The variance consists of a request to allow for the construction of a patio addition, which would result in approximately doubling in the size of the existing patio and extend 5 feet into the rear setback. Staff is not in support of the requested variance, considering that no evidence of hardship or practical difficulty have been demonstrated to warrant the support of the encroachment.
I see the applicant's present. Would you please state your name and address for the records, please?
Jonathan Lorio, 801 Greenleaf Circle in Madisonville.
Mr. Lario, do you have anything further to add?
I would just revisit the prior months that I was here, and I was asked to provide the approval from the homeowners association in which then the parish would approve my request. And I have submitted such documents. So I'm asking that you approve the request as noted.
Okay, I see we have a lot of people in the audience. Do we have someone objecting to this motion, or to his request?
There's a call. There's a call.
We have a call in? I don't have, my screen's not working, so I can't see that.
I just asked for the caller that's calling about 1901 to speak.
We in
No, it's
1891.
1891.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought you were 1901.
No, we're in 1891. Is there anyone in the audience to speak against this or for it? Okay. Do we have any questions of the applicant from the board members? Tom?
I make a motion to approve the request for the variance as requested.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the variance. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, would everyone please vote? You going to do roll call, or you want to do a hand?
Just hand.
All in favor of the motion, please raise your hands.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next case is BOA case number 20201901. Request by applicant in an A4 single-family residential zoning district to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 feet to 20 feet and the required rear yard setback from 22 feet to 15 feet. The property is located at 57468 Maple Avenue, Slidell, Louisiana. The applicant and representative is Alicia Johnson. The applicant is requesting to reduce the required rear yard setback, excuse me, I got the wrong one. The applicant is requesting to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 feet to 20 feet and the required rear yard setback from 22 feet to 15 feet. Staff comments, please.
The objective of the request is to reduce the required front, area, and rear yard setbacks to allow for the placement of a manufactured home. Staff is not in favor of the requested variance, considering that no hardship has been demonstrated.
I see the applicant present. Would
Yes.
you come forward, please state your name and address for the records, please?
Alicia Hatch Johnson, 57468 Maple Avenue, Slidell, Louisiana, 70461.
Ms. Johnson, do you have anything further to add?
No, sir.
Do we have any questions of Ms.
I got the,
Lewis?
I went out and looked at the property the other day. What size is that trailer, Ms. Johnson?
16 by 80.
16 by 80?
Yes.
In the back of that property, look like a shed or an old building or something. Now, does your property butts that?
Not that I'm
That
aware
shed?
of. It's just woods in the back of it.
I thought that size trailer was a little large for that particular property. Do you have water on it already?
No, it's not completely rained, but it's hooked up to it. They didn't put the pump out there because they didn't want to risk anyone taking it.
That's all I have.
Do we have any other questions? Brian, you had a question?
Question of staff. Question of staff.
Yes.
This page, I'm confused by the numbers. She says it's 80 feet long, and you have 20 and 15. We're already up to 115 feet on. If we divide the difference, that leaves 15 and 15. In other words, you can't meet a 25-foot front and back setback, not with an 80-foot building on a 110-foot lot. So I don't understand what, I can understand the variance request, but to me, 80 from 110 is 30. Divided by 2 is 15.
We had, the request is I would like permission to set at 20 feet from the front and 15 feet from the back, the mobile home. So it appears that maybe there was a miscalculation in a request
That would
or.
make it a
Initially, it
75-foot
was.
building. The numbers just don't add up.
Okay, so,
What? It's on? Okay.
so,
Yeah, the numbers just don't add up, so I really can't.
so maybe we'll have to postpone and re-advertise it for next month with the correct numbers?
The correct numbers to what?
Well, because it should be either, I guess, 15 and 15 or,
Or 20 and 10 or something.
yeah.
Do you understand that, Ms. Johnson? Your lot is 110 feet.
Yes.
If you
Trail
take
is
off
80.
20, that leaves, if you take off the 80, that only leaves 30 feet left. And you're requesting 15 and 20, which is 35 feet, so you're 5 feet, the numbers are not in compliance, they're off by 5 feet. So you would have to have 15 and 15 or something, some combination of the 30 feet, not a combination of 35 feet, if the trail is 80 feet long.
Okay, well, we can just postpone and I'll go back and see what they drew up,
So you requesting to postpone to get that correct?
if that's what I have to do, yes.
Do I have a motion from anyone on the board? Brian, do I have a second?
I second.
Do we have any discussion?
Who made the
Brian
motion?
made the motion, Louis second. Do
Yeah.
we have any
Motion to
discussion?
postpone.
Hearing none, would everyone please vote by raising your hands?
Who seconded, I'm sorry?
Brian made the motion, Louis second.
And, Ms. Johnson, would you get with staff to get these numbers straight for the next meeting that we have, and then we can make a decision based on the accurate measurements.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would everyone please vote by raising your hand?
All in favor? Motion passed.
Okay.
Okay.
We have one large case coming in. I have a request to move up one case, which should be relatively short, which is BOA case number 20201908 BOA. Can I get a motion to move that up?
I make a motion to move it up to right now.
Do I have a second? All in favor of that motion, please raise your hand. Okay, our next case is BOA case number 20201908 BOA, request by applicant in a PBC Plant 1 Planned Business Zoning, Campus Zoning District, and an MD2 Medical Clinical Zoning District to increase the maximum allowable square footage for a directional sign from 4 square feet to 22 square feet. The property is located in the Parish right-of-way of Oshner Boulevard, Covington, Louisiana. The applicant is Oshner Clinic Foundation, John Herman. The representative is Mark Salvetti. The applicant is requesting to increase the maximum allowable square footage of a directional sign from 4 square feet to 22 square feet. Staff comments, please?
The request is to allow for the placement of 4 directional signs within the Oshner median and 1 directional sign within the eastbound right-of-way near the entrance to Oshner Boulevard. to the Oshner campus. The objective of the request is to provide appropriately signed signage to point or direct the public towards the appropriate access in a facility within Oshner North Shore campus and the Kansas Center. Staff does not object to the request, considering that the increase in size will allow the directional signs to be safely read while traveling along Oshner Boulevard and will help improve the internal and external traffic flow.
Is the applicant present? Would you please state your name and address for the records, please?
Townsend Underhill, I'm with Sterling Properties. We represent Oshner Clinic Foundation on this application.
Do you have any, what was your last name, sorry?
Underhill.
Underhill. Mr. Underhill, do you have anything further to add?
No, I just say that this is just in an effort that goes along with the traffic improvement plan for the Oshner campus, as you may be familiar, of the cancer center that is being built by Oshner and St. Tammany Parish Hospital. There's a completely new circulation plan being developed for that campus, which involves a new ring road. These directional signages will help direct patients to the correct entrance. Right now, there's 4 entrances into that property, 4 curb cuts. They're reducing that to 3 as part of the overall traffic plan. And so there'll be a new main entrance and circulation to the property. The signs are allowed because of the active dedication that was originally accepted for Oshner Boulevard, which created the parish accepted that dedication with an allowance for right-of-way signage to be added in the future. Oshner's never exercised that right, but is doing so in this case. And the size of the signs are being dictated by what allows safe travel at the speed on Oshner Boulevard without having to slow people down in order to read the directional signages of which access they turn into. So that's the intent of it.
Tom, you have a question?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the request for the variance.
Second.
I second.
Well, Drews, I think, already second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, would everyone please vote by raising your hands?
All in favor?
All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Get my things right here. Okay, our next case is BOA case number 2020-1907. BOA, just a second. You got 01, it's 07. Is the call for 01 or 07?
It's for 07.
07. Request by applicant in an A2 suburban zoning district for an after-the-fact variance to complete the clear cutting of a portion of the required 50-foot side yard no-cut buffers. The property is located at 59-37-5 Lacombe Harbor Road, Lacombe, Louisiana. The applicant representative is Ashley Ray. The applicant is requesting an after-the-fact variance to complete the clear cutting of a portion of the required 50-foot side yard no-cut buffer. Staff comments, please.
The applicant is requesting an after-the-fact waiver of the required 50-foot no-cut buffer. As stated in the attached narrative, an approximately 10 to 15-foot buffer is proposed to remain uncut along the north side of the property. While the property is long and narrow, replanting the buffer would not prevent construction of a single-family residence on the site. Staff is not in favor of the request and suggests that some level of screening or buffering be provided within the side yard buffers to meet the intent of the ordinance.
Is the applicant present? And before we get started, I know that we have a lot of people speaking for and against this. We're going to be a time limit of 10 minutes for each side with a 5-minute rebuttal. So I just want to get that straight at hand. I'm going to try to hopefully maintain the time limit. Legal will maintain the time limit on both. So you have 10 minutes, 10 minutes for rebuttal, and then 5 minutes summary. I do have one call in also, and we will get to that person on the call in after you speak. But, I guess it's Miss Ashley?
Yes,
Would you
ma'am.
please state your name and address for the records, please?
Yes, Ashley Ray. The proposed address is 59375 Lacombe Harbor Road, Lacombe, Louisiana, 70445.
Ms. Ray, do you have anything further to add from what you heard?
Yeah, actually I do. So dealing with the buffers, originally when I put in for the variance, on the right side of the property, let's see, the front end of the property faces Lacombe Harbor Road, and there's also a side entrance, which is Bayou Drive. The right side, and I have pictures, we took pictures, actually complies with 75 plus feet of buffers. So I went out there and I took measurements, and I think before, when I did all this, I kind of just did an overall estimate and did 15 to 20 feet, because it sounds like a lot, but when we went out there and actually measured it, it was a lot more than that. So I don't know if I can pass pictures, so that way y'all can see the right side is in compliance with the buffers. It's actually 75 feet plus of the buffers. Do y'all take pictures?
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
When you're referring to the right side, is it the southern side of the property?
Okay, now I'm bad with north
The
and south,
closer,
but-
the side that is closer to the lake?
Correct, the side that's on the side road, correct. That's going along all the neighbors' houses.
Okay, so that's the northern side.
Okay, so they also have the other side, which not even the whole side, but there's a portion of where there's no wetlands that we did cut pretty much along the border of the property. And I have a letter along with these pictures, from the neighbor who owns that lot, says that she has no problem with us cutting a section where there were no wetlands on the line. The first 600 feet of my property are wetlands, so that has to stay. So where we cut is basically no wetlands, and really honestly, what we purchased the property for was to have enjoyment of land and peace and everything else. So the fact that, even though it sounds like a lot of property, believe it or not, I can't cut a good bit of it because of wetland issues. So that's another factor. So there's really just a portion on the other side of the property that is cut along the boundaries, I guess you can say, or the perimeters. And that would be the only part or question, or I guess area in question. I don't know if somebody, however y'all get pictures, or,
Yeah, we'll get the pictures.
okay. No, actually I have multiples. Let's see. Here are those two. And here's the letter from the other neighbor on the other side. And I do have more, so.
How many sets do you have?
Quite a few. Okay, yeah, sure, definitely. And then this one you can kind of leave in separate, so if you just want to pass that along like that. So the pictures are basically just to show the property in itself. We are building a residential home where we cleared. Like I said, the part of us purchasing this property is to be on land. So if we added another layer of 50-foot buffers on the other side of the property, we would be a very narrow property, and the house that we're building just would not, we would have some room on the side, but it just wouldn't be the reason for us purchasing this land. So we did say, for economical hardship purposes, is the reason why we don't want to have two sets of 50-foot buffers on each side of the property. Our property is only 200 feet wide, so if you keep that and we have the buffers, you're literally taking away half of our property, which kind of defeats the purpose of why we even purchased this property. A lot of the trees that we are removing, none of them are like your hard oak trees. In fact, there's pictures in there where you can clearly see they're pine trees, and the guy who's cutting the pine trees, a lot of them are bad. We took several pictures of the pine trees, some of them that are still left up that we would like to get down. Some of them are facing neighbors' homes. One of them has already uprooted since the storm. We couldn't get to it. Thank God it missed the neighbor's house. So all these trees, and you could even see it in the pictures that the parish took, were pine trees, except for where the house is going, which is what we clearly cleared. So that's why we're here for that. And I think they call this.
Yeah, she's timing it.
I'm sorry, do I need to stop?
No, we will let you know when it's time.
Okay. But basically, that is the gist of all this. Like I said too, we do have wetlands in the front of the property, and we do have some on the side. So there's even the portion of the property along, if we kept the 50-foot buffers on each side, that we couldn't do anything with either. So that's why I'm here, to just hopefully get this variance approved, so that way we can move forward and continue to build our home.
Okay. I don't know if you got any minutes left, but you can use that later.
Sure.
I know some people here to
Yes.
speak against it, so we're gonna give them time to speak against it. I do have someone, I think that's calling in on the phone also, that wants to, I guess, speak against it. I'm not sure, but we'll find out.
Okay. Do you want me to stand here, or would you
No,
like me
you
to go have a
can
seat?
have a seat.
Okay.
And then we're going to open it up to someone, if anyone in the audience would like to speak against it, keeping in mind, you can sit down, ma'am, thank you. And I will call you back up. You will have time to come back up later. If you didn't use up all your 10 minutes plus 5 minutes rebuttal. I just want to remind everyone, it's 10 minutes, so if everybody, I know there's a lot of people in the audience. If everyone speaks, there won't be enough for 10 minutes, so please keep your comments short, so if everyone would like to speak. Yes, sir. And then when you come up, please give your name and address for the records, please.
My name is Court Hutchison. I live at 28498 Lake Drive South, Lacombe. My property faces this property on the north side. Okay. I was the co-chair of the land use element of the New Directions 2025 for the comprehensive rezoning and land use plan, and member of the steering committee. This plan took us 7 years to complete. Our work is the basis on which the revised St. Tammany Code of Ordinances was based on, and is often referred to in planning and zoning requests and appeals as a guideline on which to make decisions. The case before you requesting an after-the-fact variance, it's an after-the-fact variance because the property has been clear-cut. Contrary to, I think what was stated, the north side of the property border, where the 50-foot buffer would be, has been clear-cut all the way to Bayou Road. All right, to complete the clearing of required 50-foot no-cut appears to be as an easy decision, really, for this board, to us. According to the powers of the board granted for variances and appeals and grounds to deny, as published, I'm just going to quote real quickly and then go through these. Is the variance appeal request self-imposed? Yes, it is. The variances were known. The buffers were known prior to the purchase. It is clearly a personal preference and an attempt to avoid the self-imposed fines and corrective measures required by St. Tammany Code of Ordinances, Section 130-2247, under the violations provision. On your powers number 4, does the variance appeal request impose an adverse effect on the adjacent neighbor's property or surrounding neighborhoods? Yes, it does. As substantiated by all of the adjacent neighbors, it would also violate the requirements set forth in Section 130-450 standards for property located in A2 100-year flood zone. Under Division 2, Landscape Trees and Preservation Regulations, Section 130-1971, purpose, for property zoned A2, quote, to conserve properties and their values, to preserve the character of the area by preserving and enhancing the scenic quality of the area. And to encourage the appropriate use of the land. Granting this variance would violate the standard purpose of this regulation. Under the powers number 5, will the granting of the variance appeal request constitute establishing a precedence? Yes, it would also do that. As further substantiated by the Lacombe Harbor Homeowners Association Board and their 100-plus residents, and all the residents of the parish who have complied with these regulations. It would also set a precedence for future residents wishing to clear cut without a permit or a survey. It also would prove that one can violate zoning ordinances at will. As you can see, a majority, 3 of the 5 powers bestowed upon the Board of Adjustments give you a clear basis, in our opinion, upon which to make a determination on this case. It should also be noted that there's an active investigation by the Corps of Engineers for violation pertaining to clear cutting trees and protected wetlands. We, those opposed to the awarding of a variance, all live in a flood-prone area by choice. This choice has been made with an understanding and assurance that the rules and regulations instituted by this Parish Code of Ordinances for tree preservation would be upheld. The natural environmental changes occurring in our region challenge the parish to develop, institute, and enforce a code of ordinances to protect and preserve our properties. We, the people, have put our faith and trust in those elected and appointed to uphold and enforce these very ordinances. We pray that you do so by denying this variance before you today. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna let other people speak, but just keep in mind, it's 10 minutes total. So
Yeah.
once the 10 minutes is up,
That was less than 4 minutes.
I understand, sir. I just want to make sure everybody understands, everybody doesn't get 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's 10 minutes per side. I just want to make that clear.
I need these passed out. I have 200 signatures from the adjoining property owners, not just Lacombe Harbor, not just Lake adjoining.
Okay.
I have people in the
Well,
audience.
while you're passing that out, I have 2 callers that called in. I'm going to give them recognition because they're not here, because they called in quite a while ago. I think we have Cynthia Smith on the phone. Is she still on the phone? Can we hear her?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you guys for taking
You-
our call
But
today.
before you start, would you please give us your name and address for the records, please?
My name is Cynthia. My last name is Schmidt, S-C-H-M-I-D-T.
Schmidt, S-C-H-M-I-T-D.
We got that. And your address, ma'am?
D-T, D as in David. Go ahead. Can you hear me?
Speak loud.
Hello?
Say again?
Tell her to speak loud.
Ma'am, Ms. Smith, you need to speak louder, and then we didn't catch your address. So you please speak loud and give us your address, and then you can go ahead.
Well, all right, good. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
A little bit better. I'm having a hard time hearing you. I don't know if people in the audience can hear you, but I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I understand. I'll put you on speakerphone and try. Does that work better?
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Okay, good. Thank y'all for taking our call today, and I think the gentleman before me said most of what we really want to say from our side. I will say that what upset me the most was that this person is a parish employee. And it seems that at this point in time, she's using that position as a parish employee to get special favor, and it actually just makes it look not really good. It's an egregious use of that position for us, and it makes a mockery out of the ethics and professionalism that we all adhere to, including our parish and our parish employees. So for that reason, as well as the others previously stated, we ask that you deny this Board of Adjustments request.
Is that all, Ms. Smith?
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have one other phone-in caller from Julie Jones. Ms. Jones, are you on the line?
Yes, this is Julie Jones and Darrell Furman. I live with Mr. Furman on the adjoining property where she had come through to do the initial clear cut.
Ms. Jones, before we start, would you give us your address, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Let me move, I got you on speaker, but let me move to a different location, see if I can hear you a little bit better. Okay.
Yes,
Can
Ms.
you still hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We need your address, please.
We're at 59467 Bayou Drive, here in Lacombe.
Okay,
It
Ms.
adjoins her property
Bayou Drive is a parish-maintained road, but it is a dead end. It dead ends basically at our property line, and her property line begins there.
Well, Ms. Jones, I don't want to cut you short, but Ms. Jones, I just want to make you aware that the rebuttal is only 10 minutes. I don't know how many minutes are left, but I just want you got 3 minutes left for all rebuttal, so I just want you to be brief, just so you're aware. I don't know if you heard that at the beginning and not the time limits, but go ahead, Ms. Jones.
Okay, the only permission that we had given Miss Ashley Gray was that, well, we couldn't stop her because, of course, it's a parish-maintained road. And she led us to believe that she was just going to cut a certain spot out there. Well, she has clear cut it. There is no buffer between us. And actually, there's probably 50 to 60 feet into the adjoining property on the other side that she has cut. It was never marked. She never got no survey or anything like that. She has cut into the wetlands. And we've never given her permission to cut back there on our side where it joins, because the back of our yard is all wetlands. It's marked, and she has cut down trees back there that were marked. It's just, and like I heard Mr. Court speak about the regulations and preserving our land. You know, there's so many issues with this. There's the wildlife. She's cut down 3 nesting areas of owls back here. You know, whether that means anything to anybody, but it means a lot to us. And she had no permission to clear cut. It's clear cut. And if you look at her pictures or whoever else's picture you have, you can definitely see it. And as they spoke, as far as regulations and being a parish employee, that speaks nothing of the parish, how things are supposed to be run. Can people just come and just cut and burn and do whatever they want and not have to worry about it? You know, the issue of a slap on the wrist, ask for forgiveness later, than permission, that doesn't pertain in situations like this. And I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jones. How much time do they have left?
1 minute and 14 seconds.
Okay.
Sir, we were not told that the call-ins were going to take that 10 minutes.
We thought that would be above and beyond.
Okay, I'm gonna allow you two extra minutes to call in, about 2 minutes that they used up. How much they used up for? We'll give you 4 minutes on the call-ins.
Thank you. I'll press that name and see how long I talk. My name is Isabel Moore. My address is 59406 East Harbor Lane, Lacombe, Louisiana. If I'm up here with 6 feet away, can I put this down?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I'm dying. First of all, I'm going to ask you, we shouldn't even be here today. The lot owner failed to get a permit to cut. She knew she needed one. Her real estate agent that sold the property, not her agent, the agent selling, told her half of it was wetlands, told her that she was not in Lacombe Harbor, and told her her entrance was on Bayou Drive. They began when the parish was in lockdown. This was in March after the corona. That's when the cuttings start. They completed, like I said, the parish talking to Ms. Helen. She was wonderful about explaining it. She told me that anything over 3 acres, you have to get a permit for. This property is definitely over 3 acres. You also, the parish was closed down, so no one could go out and check. Mr. Terrio went out on May the 15th, when the parish reopened, and posted a cease and desist and a violation sign for cutting without a permit. Her mother's a real estate agent. She knows that she needed a permit to cut any trees off this land. As you can see by the pictures I passed you, they aren't just pine trees. The pine trees have been hit because this was like warehouse cutting. These trees have been popped off. There were magnolias, live oaks, beautiful big trees. The first picture I passed you was an oak tree, a live oak, and I can attest to that. I'm a master gardener, and yes, it is a live oak that is ruined. It will die, and there were many on the property. Before this was also got jurisdictional a decision from the Corps of Engineers. Mr. DeRusso spoke with me He has been out numerous times because he said he marked them with red flags. Those were ignored. Her cutters ran over the flags. They did not appear. The Corps of Engineers has come out again to check and see that she is following the rules. She is under a thing for that. The wildlife is gone, as Ms. Jones told you. There is nothing left. I'm rushing. Let's see what else. I tell you about the real estate. The residents that do abide by the rules of St. Tammany Parish procedure want the board to uphold their request to deny this 2020-1907. The variance imposed is an adverse effect on the neighbor's property. I'd like the people that live right next to this property to please stand up. They're here. I've watched your meetings on YouTube. You asked for this. You want the neighbors that adjoin a property to tell you how they feel. They're also outside. We have 200 people, and I would have gotten a lot more, except this is a 4th of July weekend, to sign this petition. They could not believe something like this could happen. Thank you. Sit down. Anyway, that's all. The adjoining lot, when you ask, is it going to set a precedent? The picture you have of the two lots together, they're both 200 by 1,850 feet. It goes into Bayou Lacombe. That lot is a perfect example of the trees that were on it. Miss Lambert told me that they have aerial views of this property before the cut, and if you see them now, it looks like a war zone. You can look through Lacombe Harbor and see the devastation. It's, Miss Linda Ernst is going to read a letter from the homeowners right now. Thank you.
How much time is left? We have 1 minute left.
Okay, my name is Linda Ernst, and I live in Lacombe Harbor, 59350 West Harbor Lane. And I'm representing the Lacombe Harbor Landowners Association Board, a reference case number 2020-1907. The property at issue abuts to Lacombe Harbor Buffer Zone. The Lacombe Harbor Landowners Association has always maintained this easement on Lacombe Harbor Lane. There are over 100 residences in Lacombe with only one entrance and one exit. This is one entrance exit, and it has been marked entranceway with the Lacombe Harbor sign. This beautiful entranceway and all the servitudes abutting the roads in Lacombe Harbor have been maintained in a park-like condition by the Lacombe Harbor Property Owners Association for over 30 years and at considerable expense. If this variance is allowed, it will impose an adverse effect on the adjacent property values and surrounding neighborhood. Allowing this variance will establish a dangerous and unfavorable precedent to surrounding properties in the parish. For these reasons, the Lacombe Harbor Landowners Association Board met and unanimously agreed to oppose any variance to the parish ordinances in this matter. So we ask that you please consider our residents' request when deliberating on this variance.
I hate to cut you short, but that's your time. I gave you extra 10, 15 seconds. But
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Excuse me?
Do you have a?
I have a copy. I can hand it to her.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
that okay?
Yes. Ms. Ashley, you have time left, and you also have rebuttal time, so.
Okay, well, let me start off by saying that even though there's a ton of people here, really, honestly, our land is pretty much on its own. They've made this about themselves, and this really has nothing to do with them. This is about me and my family right now trying to build a home. Our property is not exposed or to any other home, pretty much, especially Lacombe Harbor, which I have basically maps to show not only one, these people fighting about trees, but for two, to show several lots in Lacombe Harbor that have been clear cut. So the problem here is, it's not the trees. There are several problems here. And if, Miss, I'm sorry, if you can, Lacombe Harbor has, there's several, yeah, I'm reading them right now. No, they're all different. They're all different. In fact, I'm sorry, you can, Since we bought this property, there's been nothing but a world of problems that we've had. I try to keep this just strictly on just our hardships on what we have as far as just the buffers and just move forward with just trying to build our home for our family of 4. But it's been made much more than that. When we first bought this property, I think a lot of it was we got that they didn't think this property would ever be bought. They thought it would be wooded forever. They thought it was going to be theirs, whether it was actually theirs or not. We're not part of Lacombe Harbor, which is another thing that has upset them, that they can't tell us what to do. When we first got this property, we actually reached out to Lacombe Harbor president. We requested to be part of Facebook. We do not want to be part of the HOA. We were just trying to do a neighborly thing, which is reach out and just be part of a community. We since got an email back, which you guys have, from the president, which was very just short, a little bitter and sweet, which was fine. We then moved on and we kept going about our business. Let me address a couple of things that they brought up. As far as the permit situation, when I first called about the permit, in fact, I was a parish employee here. I left in January. So as far as me still being a parish employee, I'm not really sure where that's coming from. But there's a lot of things that are being said and fabricated because there's really no truth to any of the story because nobody's really ever officially spoke to me. This has all been just going around and just really dealing with the harassment over the past 4 months, if not longer. But as far as the permits, when I called about the permit, I was actually a parish employee here and called from my department down to planning and development and asked about the permit. And I was told that it was not required but recommended and then I had to get the trees moved out, cut and moved out, which I did, especially the pine trees. That was the main issue. It was after the fact that I realized that the land, the size of land that I had in question required me to have a permit, which we took care of. We did what we had to do and we paid that. Another thing too is that as far as the buffers, we didn't know that there was an ordinance with buffers. We're not trying to go against the grain. We just had no idea about buffers with the size of land. We just didn't know. It was never mentioned. I had no clue. So now I'm here and I'm trying to do the variance and just like I said, I mean, the trees, the lot is huge. We bought it to have acreage and there are plenty of trees still left on the lot. It's not cut dry as you can see in the pictures. So that's the reasoning for the no permit. And like I said, when we got it, we complied, we paid, we did what we had to do. Even dealing with the wetlands, as far as that, they're actually helping us right now. There's a permit out with that, and but really as far as the wetlands, it's his name is Jeffrey Linville, and he is helping us with getting actually a driveway set. And I guess you call like a little boardwalk set up in the back. So they are involved and they are actually helping me move forward with this property as well, with getting to where I need to be. A lot of other things that have happened as far as this property, but it goes on to where the comments that we've made, that were made to us, where our kids used to have trails back there. They were upset that the property was purchased. You know, people were trying to tell us what to do with our property from day one. But it's not their property, it is our property. And I'm gonna give you a couple examples of what we have been through. In fact, one of the callers that called, and she was a neighbor off of Bayou Drive, which is a letter you have signed by a worker of the racial slurs that we had experienced from her alone. We are a biracial family, and what we were called by her, you can read it in that mail. She is upset for the fact that we are a biracial family, and it's been said. And it has been noted by that worker. A lot of other things we had, I've had to call the cops, the police twice. There are 2 reports for trespassing on this neighborhood. I had one the first time go to Isabel's house to let her know, do not trespass on my property, because I had to continuously ask people, do not come on my property when I am not there. We were required to, or asked to put up trespassing signs. We did. We had to call the police back out there again because somebody took down our trespassing signs. So we have gone through hell and high water with a lot of neighbors, and none of them have really ever come to talk to us to even get to know us. This is just rudeness because we're not a part of HOA. We're a biracial family. We're cutting trees, and there are several trees still left on that property. That property is not clear. What you see that is clear is where we're putting our house and where we're trying to enjoy the land. We also have Two, with the pictures that you can clearly see, another problem that we're facing with some of the neighbors is that for a long period of time, they actually have taken over some of our property because they thought this property was never going to sell. So they started using it for their own benefit, which is another reason they are upset because we had to tell them to not use our property. Quite a few other things. Here we go. How much time do I have left?
I don't know. How much time? You got 3 minutes. I'm sorry, we have our legal counselor's timing, so she's the official timekeeper. I'm sorry, ma'am, we have an official timekeeper. You have 3 minutes left. Is there anyone else that wants to speak for? You got 3 minutes unless you want to continue, Ms. Ray.
I'm sorry. Yes, I do, please.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm Wendy Hinton, address 237
Are you,
Teddy.
excuse me, Ms. Hinton, are you
I'm
speaking?
with her.
Are you with her? Okay, go
Yes.
ahead.
I'm sorry.
Hence the resemblance. Wendy Hinton, 237 Teddy Avenue, Slidell, Louisiana, 70458. I am her mom. We did go out and measure the north side. There is anywhere from 50 to 75 feet of uncut woods. It's hard to see in the pictures. We tried using tape measure so you could see it. There are portions that look thinner, but that's because the neighbors, or some of them that are complaining, have clear cut behind their property line onto her property for their use. So they're a little bitter. I don't say we messed up not getting a permit. That's a fact. But we've learned, and I think it's just unfortunate that they did not ever think this property would be sold.
Just to clarify on the time, she had time left over on a 10-minute opening, and she had 5 minutes for rebuttal. So we have an official timekeeper, and I'm going by our legal counsel, so that's why she has extra time, because she did not use up the whole 10 minutes initially.
That's it. I just wanted to, because if you look at the pictures, some of the areas do look a little bare, but that's why. And one neighbor cleared almost 25 feet into her property over the years for their use. And we have a picture of that. We're kind of standing along the property line. It's hard to see. But, so that's it. Thank you.
I see another gentleman. Are you with you? Oh, you want to speak? I saw you standing. You want to speak? Because I don't know if you have time. Okay, thank you. How much time she has left?
1 minute and 25 seconds. Okay. So really, honestly, the last incident that we had was with a flyer that went around, which you guys have a copy of that is accusing us of building tract homes. We're not building tract homes. Actually, the reason for us purchasing this property is because we didn't want to have neighbors. We wanted to be limited to the amount of neighbors. We wanted to live in peace and quiet and enjoy a mass amount of land with our 2 kids and just me and my husband. So it's kind of crazy on what this has become to. But I don't want to lose focus on basically the variance. A lot of this is just really, it's uncalled for of everything that we've been through. And I have this letter that I want to give to you guys. Excuse me, miss. I'm sorry, there's one more. That will basically document, yes, I'm sorry. Yes. That would basically document, and it's a thread of everything that we have been through since we've owned this property. What I have to say is it's very disgusting on what we have gone through. It's shameful. And the fact that some people can even show their face today knowing what they've done and what they've caused is terrible. So that's it. I just want to simply move on, family of 4, and build our home. We are a single-family residence. I don't understand the ugliness. I'll never understand it, but it's ugly. It is ugly. And I can tell you, every single person in this room, ask them how many have come to talk to me. The one that did, we had to call the cops because of the trespassing. So it's just, enough is enough and it needs to stop. And we just want to build a home. That's it. One home.
Tim?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim, have questions?
Yes. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, 3 quick questions. First of all, which way will the front of the house face?
It's gonna face, Lacombe Harbor Road.
Macomb Harbor, okay, that
Yes.
would be east. Your letter said there are no structures, but we see what looks like a greenhouse or a Quonset hut. Is that on your property or the adjacent property? That's this picture you gave us.
A greenhouse or a hut, I'm sorry.
Well, Quonset hut shaped greenhouse. I guess it's a greenhouse. Something.
Oh, it might be Daryl's property, which he's the only property that you can really see on there, but that's not ours.
Okay, not
That
yours.
is the neighbors, yes.
And then, do you have any input from the Williams,
Who are the Williams again?
your neighbor?
Oh, Arby, I'm sorry, give me.
Marcia
Yes,
Williams.
they have a letter that she signed, basically stating that they have no problem with us clearing. Because like I said, one side comes into ordinance, the other side, a certain section on her side, it's only a certain section where it's non-wetlands that was cut along the line. And she signed a letter stating that she has no problem with it. So, she's fine with it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from anyone on the board?
Custom-
Jules?
I see a house plan in this package by
Yes, sir.
Macaluso.
Yes.
What's the proposed width? I can't tell the width of the house.
It's gonna be 2267 square feet. Now, as far as the width, I would have to go back and look, I guess, on those blueprints myself.
Do you know approximately?
The width of it?
Yeah.
That's not a number I look at that often. I know it's 2267 living square footage, it's 2987 on bottom, under beam.
67, you can, thank you.
Yeah. I apologize, I'm sorry, I can't remember that number off the top of my head. But yes, the blueprints went to Macaluso.
Do we have any other questions of the applicant from the board?
Just a comment that it appears to me it's at least if the north side has 50 to 75 feet of uncut buffer, and the east and west, the west side doesn't come into account because there's a lot of land there. So we're only dealing with the south side of this property. Is that?
A portion of it, correct.
A portion of the south side buffer. Correct. Just so we know. The north buffer we're finding out is still there.
And that's what
The
the
northern
pictures provide.
buffer is where you're abutting the residences.
From the residence on over, it's 75 feet plus. That's what the pictures show for the tape measure. That there's 75-foot plus buffer on the right side going along the neighbors.
This is not what your drawing shows. The drawing shows that you've cleared all the way up to the property line where you have the lots facing the side street.
And what drawing is, I'm sorry, what?
That's a drawing that you submitted from the Corps
Yeah,
of Engineers?
correct, I did. And when I put 15 to 20 foot, honestly, it sounds like a lot. In fact, it was my mother who came up to me and she was like, "Did you ever measure that?" And I said, "No." I said, "I'm sure it's about 20 feet." So we went out there the other day and we actually measured it before coming here. And she was like, "Ashley, this is, you have more than enough on one side." And honestly, I just didn't realize that. I mean, 20 feet sounds like a lot, but I guess when you're going out there and measuring it, it's not really. So when we did, the right side is enough, and so it's just a portion of the other side. And like I said, it's not even the whole side because we're dealing with wetlands. So it's only a portion of the other side. But like I said, the property, it still has plenty of trees. I mean, and we purchased it for a reason, and we love it, and I don't know what else to say, I'm sorry.
Jules?
I see 7 lots backing up to this property. I would assume they're rear yards back up to this property.
I think there is. Some of them aren't developed though, but I think so.
Okay, is that the side of the property that has been cleared?
That's the side that still has the 75-foot plus buffers.
It's just the south side that's in
Yeah,
question.
okay.
So,
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
yes.
This is the plan.
Go ahead, Helen.
I have a drawing here that you signed on May 27th, and it said cleared everything that is not in the wetlands. So basically, what you're saying is what you signed on the 27th may not actually be accurate, and...
Well, when I said clear, I guess I was referring to just the area that we had cleared.
Okay.
You know, but as far as like the buffers, those buffers were left. You know, like I said, originally, when I said 15 to 20 feet, it sounded like a lot, and just picturing it, I guess I thought it was 20 feet worth. But when I'm giving you that, I'm just letting you know the area that we cleared. The area that we cleared were just the non-wetlands, because the first 600 feet are wetlands, and then plus, obviously, going back where you see it.
But here, along where the houses are, you've left a 75-foot buffer?
If you look at the pictures, yes, we actually measured that. The buffers on one side are there. It's the other side that we did clear all the way up to the property line.
On the lakeside?
No, on the other,
South.
opposite side.
On the opposite side,
You
correct.
cleared out all the way to the property line on that side.
On a portion of it where there's
But
no
that
wetlands.
abuts another big tract of land.
Correct. That's still wooded, yes. Yes.
And that's the one you got the letter from.
Correct.
Have you had someone actually, architect, I mean, not an architect, but a surveyor go out there and say how much of trees that are left there that hasn't been cut?
I mean, we do, yeah, that was another thing. We do have a survey on the property, so I'm not really sure that's actually a requirement to even have that, especially when you're building. But as far as to have a surveyor go back out there as far as trees, no. But, I mean, you can clearly see in the pictures, though, because even one portion of the pictures where I'm standing where my house is going to be, if you look to the front of the property, you can't even see the road, because we're going to be about almost 2 acres back off the road.
I understand that, but that's a
So-
lot of wetlands in the front which you can't cut.
Correct.
What we're asking is the property that's abutting the neighbors that back up to it, how many trees along there? And you're saying this without an arborist or someone going out there spotting the trees, how many trees? You know, you're saying it's 75 feet. I really don't know if it's 75 feet or 4 feet.
Well, 75 feet on one side, correct. On the other side, we did pretty much kind of go along the perimeter of it.
Tom?
How come you went ahead and the part that's clear cut all the way to the property line? Why did you go ahead and cut that? You clearly, you had to know there was a no cut zone.
You talking about as far as the buffers?
Yeah, did you have a contractor cut that? Who cut it?
I hired somebody to cut it. As far as me knowing about the buffers, though, no, sir. The only way I would know about that is if somebody told me. I didn't know anything about that.
When you bought the property, attached to the documents, there's a clear plot of the property you purchased. In that plot, there's big bold letters down both sides that says no cut zone. You didn't see that?
On what paperwork? I'm sorry. I'll ask my mother, because I don't recall seeing that on my paperwork. I guess I don't know what property or, come up here, please.
You'll have a deed to the property you purchased.
And you're saying on the deed that there was a no cut?
The closing documents, when you closed on that property, attached to that would be a plot.
There was no plat or
Yeah.
plot or anything attached. We pulled up from the tax assessor's office the aerial view of it. That was all we really had.
Yeah, there was nothing as far as no cut. That's
It
why I
was
called
an
her up here, 'cause
inherited,
she's
she
not
bought it from a family who inherited the property. They had it for years, didn't have much on it,
Since
and that was it.
1915, Right. There was 13 people involved with it. There was nothing more that we had than just the 13 people that were involved with the property. So as far as what you're saying that's on the deed, no. There is,
We can pull the deed and look at it, we don't have it with us.
but I mean, there's not, I guess I don't know where you got that. There's nothing on there as far as that.
Jules, you had a question?
I think that's it's a parish restriction. I don't know if it would be.
That may
in
not
the
show
deed.
up, Tom, that may not show up on the deed, depending on
Right.
how the deed's written.
Correct.
In the survey. If it was a right-of-way, it would
It
show up.
would, right.
But buffers, I don't know if the parish requires.
Most of the drawing, the closings I'm familiar with, I mean, it's, it's bold letters and large block letters.
But I think that mainly pertains to right-of-ways.
Correct.
Right, not, yeah, not so much of the,
Jews,
Did you ever receive a survey from the previous owners of the property, or did you have the property surveyed?
no, so there was a property, they did do a survey that we got. It was basically the size of what Helen kind of has. In fact, it's what I submitted her that she has. And then we had one done in our name, but it's just a survey of the property.
It was the same survey from the same surveyor who
Correct.
just enhanced her builder's package, basically.
Yes.
And that's a survey that was done by the
Previous
owner?
owners, yes.
Yeah,
And
then
used it to plot your site?
Correct.
Your house?
Correct, because they already went out there and they had it ribboned off. So a survey was already involved, well before we got it. And it was marked off where our boundaries were.
So there was a physical boundary, the corners were marked on your property prior to beginning the clearing?
Correct, yes, there were, yes, because they hired a surveyor, before even selling the lot.
They being the previous owner?
The previous owners,
So
correct.
there was corners marked on the property
There
that
were
you could identify?
sporadic flags.
Flags.
You know, the
And there
little
were
plastic
corners.
surveyor.
Correct.
You saw the corners?
Yes,
Okay.
because Kelly McHugh, who did it, that's why I went back to them, because they were familiar with the property. They had marked corners, there were corners, and they had bright pink, a hot pink, couldn't get the word
Flags.
out, ribbons, correct, yes, sir.
So before you started the clearing process, you were aware of those property lines?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no, yeah, we didn't cut on anybody's property,
Okay.
that's for sure, no.
I think because she was accused of cutting a road through the adjacent property, which is another fabrication.
Correct.
That never happened. She cut along the south side property line, which is the letter we have from Miss Williams saying she don't have any problems with it. The north side where the other neighbors were, who a couple of them have cleared part of that property or her property now, they're still wooded throughout the whole area except for where her driveway comes in.
Okay. Do you know approximately how long in length you cleared on the undeveloped side that you went to the property line? How many hundreds of feet, I guess, did you clear approximately?
Oh my gosh, that is probably closer to, more probably what I could do from where the wetlands began to where they end on that side. Because the whole area, the little 3 acres that I have, is what I was trying to clear. So, because that's all I can clear, even though the property is 8 acres, I'm only allowed to use 3. So, because of the wetlands. So, I'm gonna probably tell you it's gonna be where I could start to where I could finish.
And approximately how many feet you think that may be?
I am terrible with, I mean, at least a couple hundred, I think. I mean, like I said before, I thought the other side was 20 feet and it wound up being 75 plus.
According to the document that you signed one more time, you have, it says here 900 feet that you cleared. This is the document that you signed. So
Okay.
it shows 900 feet. It's in your package.
900 out of 1,900, right?
It says 900.
Oh, 900.
There it is, 900.
It's 1,095.
Yes, the majority of that goes also into the water, so, correct.
Mr. Chairman, you ready for a motion?
The only question I would have concern is getting a tree surveyor to go out there and tell you how many trees, if it is 75 feet that it hasn't been cut. You know, if the neighbors have cut some of your trees, then you shouldn't be penalized for that. But if it's 75 feet that's left, that hasn't been cut, then it meets that particular side. Now, the other side is an issue, but you have authority from the labor on the south that it doesn't have a problem with that. You may have to be some type of compromise where you have to plant some more trees. But I would like to know definitely how many trees in that no cut was really cut, if the guy could be, or how many is left there. Huh?
I'm enough, fair.
But you don't know where the property line is. That's my point. I like to have a surveyor go and spot it and say, yes, this is,
She
this.
cut up to the I figured the property line ended where she stopped cutting.
It has trees, some trees.
Anybody else have any comments or questions?
And he is right, you are right. The property line where on the other side where it's finished cutting that's pretty much, it's like that is the perimeter of it, yes.
All right, any other
Chairman,
questions?
I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'm strongly opposed to granting this variance. I make a motion that we deny the request for the variance. In lieu of the fact that there is an ongoing Corps of Engineer investigation going on to this clear cut. And the matter of, well, I've got 75 feet on one side. You can't borrow 25 feet from that to make up, the 50 feet on the other side. So without going into any other remedies as far as fines go for clear cutting this after the fact, I'd just like to make a motion to deny the request for variance.
Can I say something as far as the Corps?
No, ma'am, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
sorry. So we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Hearing none, the motion does not proceed. We either need to have more discussion or questions or a new motion.
Can I
Go ahead,
add some
Tom.
discussion?
Yeah, you can add some discussion. Yes. That's what I'm saying. We're opening it back up for discussion among the board.
We've got, 200 and some signatures here from Lacombe residents that are opposed to granting this variance. Here we are again with people that go out there and do it knowingly, come to us for a variance after the fact. When they knowingly, went and cut, clear cut this without a permit. Now, we need to do something to enforce these regulations. Gentleman came up here and beautifully articulated all the ordinances, the violations that have been done in this act. So I don't know how we entertain other than disapproving the variance.
Well, since the motion to deny failed, it may be, if the board wished to make a motion to postpone, and the owner could hire a tree surveyor and maybe, come back next month with a more accurate document that would tell us how many feet of trees is left on the north side, if there is any trees left on the south side, and maybe with some sort of replanting plan to provide some sort of alternative to the board.
Okay, Jews and Brian next. Jews first.
I would like,
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Jews is first, then you.
so I'd like to know,
Yes.
which is going to require some additional work on your part, would in fact is there 75 feet? And is there clearing into your property, as you previously stated, from the owners that abut your property? So that we're not clear on. Also, if you cleared to the property line and that length that we were discussing is in fact 900 feet times the 50-foot buffer, that's 45,000 square feet of property that you cleared. I think we certainly would like to hear and hear from you about what is a plan to restore that. And that may not be something you can answer today, but that's what we're dealing with here.
Right.
As far as the size and scope of that area that was cleared.
And I want to go back to, I want to remove the fact of knowingly. I hate that because I wouldn't have gone through with this knowingly. I did make the proper phone calls and I did what I had to do. And again, I'm here and I have been in compliance still with doing whatever I need to do as far as this. However, dealing with the buffers, it goes back to, again, I mean, the reason why we purchased this property is to have the land, of what we have. That's why if we add any more trees back to it, it's really just taken away from the purpose of us buying this land. We do have 75-foot plus on one side, and I know there's a portion of the other side that's along the line of a wooded lot. But, we add any more trees back and we're just going skinnier. We're getting smaller and smaller. And there's already portions of our land that we can't use anyway. So we're just taking away versus enjoying it, I guess I don't really know what to say. I'm here to do whatever I need to do.
Gidry, did you make a motion?
I did not.
No, but he was just asking a question or trying to clarify.
Okay.
And I think Brian was next.
Again, we have to find out more about this north side, okay? The south side is the Williams, okay?
Right.
The east side is Grand Avenue. The north side, you have lots of neighbors, but half of it's a canal where Mr. Hutchinson lives. If there's a 75-foot no-cut area to the north, and your house is 65 feet wide, that leaves 50 feet on the Williams side. So I guess a question is, would you be willing to plant part of that 50 feet? If you planted all of it, you'd have trees a foot from the house. Would you be willing to plant 20, 25 feet of the south buffer of certain, working with the parish and their landscape people? Because we may be able to come to a compromise. Again, assuming the north side was not cut.
Correct.
The east and west sides don't come into play because they're both wetlands. And it's only the south side or the Williams side of the property that's in question. Are we somewhat in agreement on that?
I think that's a good plan.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to deal with the situation in terms of if the north side has more than 50 feet of uncut, then it's not part of the reason we're here.
We don't know.
No
one knows.
Oh, no one knows. Well, we need to get an aerial view right now and take a look. If we can.
I don't know if we can get an aerial view.
I'm just trying to find out what we're dealing with. It appears to me that we're only dealing with the south side of this property.
Correct.
That may or may not be true, but from what I've heard, that's what it appears.
Excuse me. This is this discussion among the board members. Y'all may listen, but there's no further comment unless we ask a specific question of someone. I'm sorry, but the discussion period is closed. If a board member has a specific question to anyone, they may ask. But if not, this is a discussion among the board, so. Go ahead.
So anyway, that's just, if there is a uncut buffer on the north side, and we already have buffers on the east and west because of the wetlands that were not cut. So the east and west sides satisfy the requirements. To me, it's only the south side that we're talking about.
Well, the west, which side is along?
You got about 1,000 feet on the west side of wetlands that's uncut.
I don't know, which one goes along Lacombe Harbor Drive or whatever that is?
That'd be the east side.
Right.
The property runs east-west. You know, the south, the lake is south.
Okay, the lake is south.
Front and back, if you
The
will.
one that runs along
Front
Lacombe,
and back, if you will.
the side along Lacombe Harbor, there's just a few scrub trees. Have you gone out and looked at it, Brian?
Yes, I have.
You know, there's nothing over there along Lacombe Drive or whatever that is. A few, a very thin scrub. And if you look down that length of the property, all the way to Lacombe, by Lacombe, I guess, it's been destroyed. I mean, it's been wiped out.
No, that's not what I saw.
That's what I saw.
I saw the 900 feet that's shown here on our drawings that was cut, but it's over 1,900 feet deep.
So it's 1095.
It's on these drawings. It's 1,984 feet or something like that.
But it's clear cut all the way to by Lacombe.
No, it's not.
think
Not
that's
according to
wetlands
the
back
parish drawings in your packet.
What's that?
It says the wetlands were not cut. From the bayou back, 900 feet are wetlands.
If you look at the
Not
wetland map,
cut.
oh, that's not cut.
I looked at it from the water also,
I looked at it from Lacombe.
and I lived across the bayou from this for 22 years, so I'm very familiar with the property. Again, I'm just trying to boil this down. If we're dealing with the south side only as being in violation, then let's talk about that with Ms. Ray about a possible solution. Because according to what I've heard, that's what's been cut, the south side. Now, you know, looking at these drawings, the east and west, they show wetlands, and they show it uncut.
Jules, you had something else? Louis, you have anything to inject?
No, I didn't really go out and look at the property, so I'm kind of,
I mean, I somewhat go along with Brian. I like to know exactly what we're dealing with. And if it is cut, then that's a problem. You know, if it is cut, then it is a problem. But looking at some of these drawings and some of these pictures, it's hard to tell where the property line without having an official person. That's my opinion. Without having an official person go out there and say, yes, this is in violation. You know, I'm hearing things saying everything is cut. I'm hearing that there's some trees left. I just don't know which way it's true. And I don't want to make a decision on something not knowing all the facts. If everything is cut, then that is a problem. That is a problem if everything is cut. But now I'm hearing that maybe everything is not cut. And before I can make a judgment, I would like to know exactly what it really is. You know, it's going to be additional expense getting a tree surgeon or someone going out, licensed person to go out there and say, yes, this is, you have these many trees, or you don't have these many trees. You know, even on the south side of Williams, I have a little bit of a problem cutting all those trees, even though Miss Williams agreed to it. If she ever sells the problem, I think there should be some buffer there also. So there should have to be some replanting. That's just my opinion. I feel like there should be something, like you said, Brian, go back and plant something even on the Miss Williams. But without knowing exactly what the facts are, it's hard for me to make a determination. I would like to know a little bit more exactly what's there and what's not there. I'm not saying that you would get the variance either way. I'm just saying I would want to know more factual.
No, I understand. So, I mean, like I said, the reason why we were here, we're dealing with one side, and like I said, the property is small, so, you know, I base this off of, you know, economical hardship. I mean, really, honestly, I mean, I'm just limiting myself more and more and more based off the acreage that I bought, you know, on what we have. You know, I mean, that's the thing. We've already been held up for so long
I
as it
understand.
is, you know?
But as the rules say, economic hardship really doesn't come into play with us here, you know, I mean, that is, I understand your predicament, but that's something that we really can't put too much weight or credits on, you know. It's something that we did not cause, and it's something that we can. So I don't know if you, and I don't know if someone wants to ask Jules.
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman, I concur with the comments you just made, because I think we have two board members who've both been out and see things slightly differently. I think we have an audience that sees things slightly differently, and I don't know how I can make a decision without having something that is more concrete in being able to look at this and see what are we really dealing with here. And so that's you know where I stand on this is I don't think we have the information clear.
Yeah.
Louis?
I would like to make a motion to postpone until our next meeting, until Ms. Ray, you could work with the parish and come up with some type of solution and really kind of get a drawing on what's been done out there, so that we could kind of come back and make a really good decision on your behalf or either nobody's behalf. But I would like to postpone it.
And, I mean, I'll do whatever. My only concern right now is that, you know, we've already been held up for trying to build for so long.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, that's, yeah.
you know,
But
I
let me-
mean, I just,
Ms. Ray, this is your options.
yeah,
You can elect to postpone, that's your option.
okay.
If you do elect not to postpone, then we have to act today. So we can't make you postpone, but if you want to postpone, then we can vote on it. I'm not saying that everybody on the board would vote that way, but we can postpone. But if you elect not to postpone, then we have to vote on what we are dealt with.
Okay, well-
So hopefully, I just want to make that clear to you so you understand. So now, what are your wishes?
Appreciate that.
I'll second that motion.
I'm sorry, what did he say?
He's just saying he seconded the motion to postpone, but it's up to you to agree to that. If you don't agree to that, we cannot postpone this.
If we postpone, it also means postponing me building, correct? Another
Yes,
month?
ma'am, yes, ma'am.
And really honestly, just curiosity, with the pictures, that's clearly showing a measuring tape for one side. I mean, I get it. I mean, I guess I kind of feel like the person's going to go back and say the same thing. I mean, you know, it's there. The measurements are being shown on one side. So then we have the other side. What exactly can we not, I guess, make a decision on today just based off of, it's one side that we're talking about here. So if we can,
Not necessarily just one side. It could be the south side also.
okay, so you're wanting more
Yeah,
variant,
yes.
more,
We want more. I
verification.
personally would like to see a licensed person do this, not someone going out there with a tape measuring. I want a licensed tree surgeon, licensed architect or licensed surveyor to go out there and spot the tree, say, this is what's done, so we know it's factual. And I'm not going out holding the tape because I don't know if you're holding the tape. And I'm not saying you're not. I'm not saying you're holding it on the property line, 10 feet off the property line, or where that tape is. But when they go out there, they're going to use GPS and they're going to spot everything, and it's going to be accurate.
Okay.
But the question still remains: do you want to postpone or proceed?
I really don't know. That's just, it's.
I'll give you a couple, if you'd
But
like
let
to
me say
discuss
one
with your
thing, as
husband
far
for a
as-
couple of minutes, I'll give you a couple,
Yeah,
about a
if you don't
minute.
mind, can
I'll
I
give you a minute
please?
to make that, but just keep in mind, if we have to proceed, that we have to vote either yes or no on the variance, and I'm not saying how the variance would go.
And
then
just
it'll be
curious,
over.
if it's voted no,
And
then what?
If it's voted no, I'm gonna turn it over to,
And
You
what,
will-
and then what?
Then you will have the option to reapply and come back with a replanting plan.
so it's still gonna be,
Okay.
still gonna be a
So either way,
process.
you're still gonna come back one way or the other. Okay, give me just a second though,
Yes,
please.
I'll give you a second.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
can we hear from that lady in the back?
no, no, I'm sorry, no. I closed the floor, unless,
I'd like to open the floor and see what she's got to say.
no, ma'am. sorry, the floor is closed. All right, Ms. Ray, I'm sorry, legal just corrected me. We do have a motion on the floor to postpone, and I stand corrected. We have to vote on that motion to postpone. I'm sorry, I was under the impression you had the opportunity. That's if you decided to change some of the variants, you would have that opportunity. But postponement, we have to vote on that. We have a motion to postpone. I think it was,
Mr. Chairman?
I made the motion.
Lewis and Brian second. So we have a motion to postpone to next month. Will everyone please vote?
Mr. Chairman, can we please clarify the motion? So is Mr. Bruchter's motion to postpone and the owner is to provide a tree survey and a replanting plan, or just a tree survey?
Tree survey.
No replanting plan at this time?
Well, we could do both. Probably just do both while we're at it.
Okay, so would you please restate your motion, sir?
I made a motion to postpone. I wanted Ms. Ray to get with the parish and come up with a planning plan and a tree survey.
Am I able to say one thing, or no?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You still second?
No, I didn't second that. I seconded a tree survey only,
Not replanting?
not a replanting plan, because we don't know where to replant until we see the tree survey.
So, Mr. Bruchter, do you want to amend
You
your?
want to amend it or not?
just
Yeah, I'll
request
amend it.
Now,
And
just because you're getting a tree survey, and correct me if I'm wrong, legal, if she comes back next month and has a tree survey and we still have a problem with planning, she may have to go back and come up with a planning plan.
Sure.
So that doesn't put planning out of the question. It's just we postponing, depending on
The tree
the motion. If he's just motioning to postpone to next month to come up with a tree survey, that doesn't mean you're gonna be free and clear of not planning anything. The next meeting would be a whole new meeting, depending on that.
That's fine. The reason why I was asking just a second ago is because Jeffrey Linville with the Corps, I'm actually working hand in hand with him, and because we're dealing with the boardwalk and the driveway and et cetera, obviously dealing with the wetlands, I am working with the Corps to replant trees in the front because of what I have to take out. So if I can, work with the Corps to just replant, dealing with them with replanting trees, because I am dealing with them, because I will have to take out some for me to have the driveway and the boardwalk. So I'm actually working hand in hand with them
Okay,
now
well,
on that.
I'm going to close discussion because we have a motion on the floor.
Okay.
So we have a motion, repeat your motion, Louis, please, just to make sure we have this correct.
I made a motion to postpone until next month, until we get more information. Hopefully, Mr. Ray will work with the parish to do a tree survey. And that was it.
Brian, you second that? We have a motion on the floor and a second. Do we have any discussion? Would everyone, go ahead, Tom, it's discussion.
Are you in agreement with getting the survey and
Well,
providing?
Tom, that's immaterial. We got a motion on the floor. If she doesn't do it, then when it comes up next month, it'll fail automatically. I mean, that's the motion she has to abide by. She doesn't have to agree to it. She doesn't have to do anything. If she doesn't, then when it comes up next month when we postpone, we vote as we see fit then.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, it's legal, is that correct?
Yeah.
Any other thing, Tom? Any other questions on the board? Would everyone please vote by raising your hand? This is postponing to next month, and for her to come back with a tree survey. All in favor?
So we
All
have
all opposed?
four yeas,
All opposed?
4 yeas and 1 nay.
It passes.
Pass.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ray.
That's it?
Yes.
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay. Going into old business,
I had two things.
yes, Tom?
All right,
Well, why don't we wait till we get the room cleared out a little bit?
can I have their attention?
Yes. Okay, would y'all please, if y'all gonna talk, would y'all please leave the room? We still having our meeting. Y'all can talk in the outside. Thank you.
I need Brian and Jules. All right, my first thing on old business is I would like to let the record show and maybe we can have the parish president do a letter of thanks to Mr. Greg Cooper, who is no longer with us and who resigned from the board. And I would like to recognize his years of service to St. Tammany Parish and the people of St. Tammany and his board.
Okay.
Here, here.
I'll go along with that.
A letter to, I'm sorry?
Just commendation to
To who, I'm sorry?
Greg Gordon
Okay.
for his years of service on this board. Oh, recognition. Okay, any other old business?
Yes. I got one more.
Okay.
Karen, where do we stand on, since our last case was after the fact, where are we with our project on after the fact?
I think that we were.
I think that our plan was to follow some cases and to check the actual cost that was incurred. But I think because of the coronavirus, we've only now had two meetings since our last meeting, right? So Helen was going to track the actual costs associated with after-the-fact cases versus regular cases. But we didn't have an April or May meeting. We've only had June and July, so we don't have the data yet. So we're still following that, but we're just behind because we didn't have meetings.
Is my mic on?
All the mics are on, yeah.
All of them should be on.
As I recall, we were gonna look at, we have enough old cases. We weren't gonna look at new cases after we brought this up. It was, if we needed that, we could look at enough old cases, to present our position to the parish council.
Okay, well, that's a question for planning and development then, I'm not sure. I don't have that information, and it was my understanding that we were gonna track some current cases, but that's a question really for Helen and for planning and development.
Well, I think we might have to regroup on that. Due to the pandemic, we have maybe not, focused on this yet. Maybe Carlin and I can schedule something later on, and we'll get back to it. Okay.
Anything else, Tom? I got one thing on new business I'd like to find out. We're putting money into the tree bank. I'd like to know, have we ever spent any of that money? And if we have, where have y'all planted trees? And how much money does the tree bank have? I mean, we've done this over the years, and there's a lot of areas I know that could be planted with trees and parish right-of-ways and so forth. And maybe the parish is, I'm just one clarification, how much money's in that tree bank? And where have they been planting trees?
There was a suggestion that they could use some money to replant in the median on 190 as part of that big project that they did. I don't know that anything got planted in the median that I've noticed.
That may be state property. It may be a problem with state right-of-ways.
It was the parish president's pet project.
Oh, Bristol?
But she may be running it, but she may not have any influence to say we're gonna plant in your right-of-way for the state. I don't know. I'm just curious if we've planted any trees anywhere.
That's a good
and
question.
how much money do we have?
Not that I know of, and we never have been able to actually get a figure of how much went in. Did any come out?
That question's been asked numerous times.
Well, that's why I'm asking it again on the record.
That's good.
We'll provide the information.
Okay. Any other new business, any cases for next month?
Yes, I think we probably have 7 new plus the 2 that have been postponed. So we'll have a long afternoon.
And I want to apologize, I got my time mixed up. I thought the meeting, see, when I get this old, you get used to the meeting being at 3 o'clock. Don't change stuff. I'm sorry, it's a few minutes. Yeah, I can't remember that. Y'all changed it to 2 o'clock?
Tim, you go on vacation, you come back and you're a new guy.
I'm a new guy. I haven't been on vacation since the meeting. Anything else in new business? Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Yeah, I was right down the street. I could have been here. I'm just looking at my wine. I love it.